last time we talked about communication, and I felt like we really got in deep with that, talking about all the facets of communication. So this time we're talking about healthy relationships, and I stress the word healthy, because there was what was it? International Women's Day with the hearts. We're doing the hearts right now.
Oh, have you seen the new way the kids do it? They're like, the youngsters do it. They do this thing with their fingers. Like.
Oh yeah, I can't. I think it's like something. Oh yeah, like that. That's what they do. They do like point there, and then they do that like that. Yeah.
I'm like, no kids, it's this.
See, I don't have to do any of that because it's not on my thing. So anyway.
Oh yeah. But I told people do it like this.
Yeah, I think people have said to me to do it like that.
Yeah. And like there's that new thing now on. Anyway, I'm blabbling.
You are. Yeah. Good. So healthy relationships. Like we can talk about relationships in general. But I think it's important to highlight healthy because obviously we're talking about that understanding of boundaries and things like that as well with relationships and connections that we make. So I think we can just dive right in really and just talk about it, isn't it?
I think healthy relationships in general is so broad. Like I think first thing people think of is when you think of healthy relationships is like actual love relationships, but relationships is anything, isn't it? It's relationships between family, it's relationships between friends, it's relationships between mother and daughter, sisters, father and friendships. Like it's quite a broad topic, isn't it? And I think we forget how your relationships with friendships need to be healthy, like like because we talk about toxic relationships, but we can have toxic friendships as well.
No, that is very true. And I think when you really think of it, it's all about connections. We all crave that connecting with people, hence why people connect over social media. But actually, there's always a reason for behaviour. So there's always a reason why a friendship develops. There's always a reason why it gets started. And there's always a reason why it gets maintained, and sometimes there's a reason why it dissolves. It doesn't last.
Definitely.
And I think you always learn something. So I think I would never say I've ever regretted a friendship, even if it hasn't lasted, even if it hasn't stood the test of time. There's always a reason, and there's a friendship for every season.
100%.
And like I've had friendships in the past where I would feel like the problem is I'm very much a yes person, and people know this about me because I care, and I don't want people to think I don't care, because if I say no, then that means I clearly don't care and all this rubbish. And I think some people, true friends, would say, come on now, Rach, you don't have to say yes, and they would check me and tell me to check myself, like, come on now, take a step back. Why are you saying yes to that? You don't need to say yes to that. Whereas other people will be like, oh, she said yeah. All right, I know who to go to. I'll go to her because she'll say yeah. Oh, actually, I'll ask her because she'll always say yeah. And they're not looking at how they're draining my resource and my battery and my needs. Yeah. But actually, it's partly my own fault as well, I know. But a real friend would kind of look at that and go, okay, I know this is something that is maybe a weakness for her. I'm going to be mindful that maybe it's not healthy that she's saying yes to all these things, and maybe it's not healthy that I'm asking all the time. So yeah, I think we all fall into that trap of being in an unhealthy relationship, and maybe we don't realize it straight away as well.
Definitely, because I think the right relationship in all aspects, it's like it should be empowering. They should be building you up. Like, even when you've got to have those difficult conversations or whatever, like you should still feel built up, because that person loves you for who you are. Like I have very minimum friendships, but I always say I would rather have one or two really good friends that I know love me than have 50 others who treat me rubbish. You know what I mean? And I always say that. And like my Des is going through a little bit of nonsense in school, and she hasn't really gotten any friends, and And I said the same to her. I was like, but that one friend is all you need, because as long as you've got that one person you can rely on, you know, I've got friends who I know if I was to ring them 2:00 in the morning and be like, help, I need you, I know they would be there, and they know I would do the same for you. And I think making sure we've got those friendships, and you know, life gets busy and chaos and like, you know, we sometimes lose contact with people, but it's having those people that we know, or they love me no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not having this love that's made cheap nowadays. It's that genuine love of friendship. Like, I love you because of your friendship and you love me for who I am. Yeah. Like, it's none of this nonsense love. It's
There's
this
no
love because you love
attached to it. Like, if you do X, Y, and Z for me, then I'll stay your friend. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. It's you love me because you love me. You know what I mean? And it's like, I love you because you know what I mean? It's that thing. And I think for too long we've made love cheap, and we've put conditions on love, and we've put conditions, like you said, conditions on friendship. And I remember, we took the kids away a couple of years ago, and they had like a soft play thing, and they had what they call the death slide, right? And it was a really high slide. And it was really high, and it was a bit scary slide. I didn't like it myself, okay? And Des was going to go on there, and there was these two little girls. They must have been on holiday together. And the one little girl didn't want to go on the slide. Yeah. And her friend said to her, she went, well, if you don't go, I won't go on there. If you don't go on there, I won't be your friend anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I don't know this child, and I am that scary lady who will tell your child off. I was like, I said to this little girl, I went, that's not very nice. Like, why would you do that? But unfortunately, as a society, that is what we've become. If you don't meet my conditions and my expectations, no thanks, I don't want you. And unfortunately, we've become a bit of a snowflake generation, where even though I love you, I'm going to tell you if you've done wrong, or if you need, you know what I mean? I think it's quite sad.
I think the way the culture is at the moment is do not offend. Like, it doesn't matter what your opinion is, it doesn't matter what your values are. The goal is here, people, do not offend. Do not say what you think, because if it upsets somebody, that is it. Yeah. Well, how is that true friendship then as well? If we apply that to our friendships with people, then how will we have that honesty? If every time something comes up and you're just like, you know, you can't say what you think or feel or believe because you're worried about offending and not having a friendship anymore. I remember, oh my gosh, so I'm going to talk about something silly, but it's good. I watched this TV series called Why Women Kill, right? But there is a point to it. Okay? And there's a scene with two friends. And basically, the one wife has found out her husband's cheating. So she decides, right, to befriend this womanizer, the woman who's cheating. Oh, no. And the plan is to befriend her to the point where she can convince her to stop the relationship, right? So she's taken a very strategic route. So her neighbour and friend goes, why don't you just confront the woman? Do you know what I mean? Like, why don't you just end this? Why don't you just say, like, I'm the wife and blah, 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 you need to stop. And she said to her, okay, if somebody was walking down the street and told you your dress looks ugly, how would you take it? And she's like, she'd say whatever, you know, we give them what for. And she went, but if a good friend suggested that maybe orange isn't your best colour, she was like, I changed the dress. So that just goes to show, like, a good friendship, if you've got a good friendship with somebody and actually you think that the best thing to do is be honest, if that's a good relationship and a healthy relationship, your friend will take that advice or talk through it with you. But if a stranger, you know, started mouthing off and giving their opinion, you wouldn't take it as well.
That's true. I mean, what strange lady, that is a very good point, but what strange lady would want to stay with her husband? You know?
Bear in mind, right, this is like in the not olden days, you know what I mean? No, but like, this is in the times where, like, you know, women kind of made a home for their husbands and they didn't work, you know. So it's quite interesting. It shows 3 different women who lived in the same house over the years, with the husband.
With you, okay.
But that the first lady, obviously it shows, the situation. But it gets interesting if you decide to watch it. It is really good. But that scene, that scene, I think applies really well.
It does, doesn't it? Like, yeah, and I think good friends, like, do you know what? I've got 3 best friends. My 2 girl best friends, right? They are black and white. They say it as it is, and that is why I love them. You know what I mean? Because that is the way it is. A spade is a spade. Pot kettle black. Yeah. You know, I think for me, I love people like that because they'll say to me, Han, what are you doing? You know, and I can be like, I know. I mean, you know, and I love that.
Yeah,
you know?
I think for me, it depends on the circumstance. Like, I absolutely love that, and I think it is absolutely necessary. But if you're in a situation where it's just not appropriate to be that blunt, I just think, no, I don't like that. Like, especially if it comes across that they're giving somebody a dressing down, then that is making them feel, I can imagine the embarrassment and those feelings. Whereas if they privately came across and said, look, you know, this is what I think. Yeah. So I do think it depends on the circumstance. What I absolutely cannot stand is like fakeness. I just can't take it. I really, really do not like it. And like relationships don't just apply to friendships and to obviously boyfriends or husbands or family. It's also in work as well.
Yeah, 100%. So, and they can be the hardest ones.
Yeah. But no, what I don't like is when somebody wants to say something quite critical, but they'll like wrap it up in compliments.
Yeah.
And you know, when it's like, I know you don't genuinely want to say something nice. Just say what you think. Don't like pretend with like flowery compliments, because actually I can see right through that. So thank you.
I suppose you kind of think, look, I'm a big girl, I can take it. You know what I mean? Like, pull up your big girl pants, give it to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
because otherwise, where's the respect? If you can't say, this is what I think, and you think, oh no, I'm going to say this and this and this, you know, to make them think I'm being nice, and then I'll say this really mean thing, and it's like, well, no, because you're not being truthful and respectful.
Yeah.
You know,
no, 100%. And I think that's a really good point. Working relationships can be so hard. And I know for me, I like, people may laugh at this, right? Obviously, if you don't know me, like, you're not going to get it. But for me, I am the way I am 24/7. Obviously, you can vouch for that. My partner can vouch for that. Like, everybody knows me can vouch for that. I am like this all the time. But you know, people that don't really know me, they think I'm fake. And I really struggle. I went through a season where I really struggled to make friendships in work because they were like, you seriously can't be like that all the time. And they thought I was fake. Luckily, I know, and luckily I'm like, that's your problem, not mine. Like, I really don't get it. But that could be, for somebody, like for me, I'm kind of like, whatever, I can get on with it. But for somebody who could be really sensitive, that could be really difficult. You know what I mean? Like, why can't we just love each other for who we are? You know what I mean? Like, it can be really difficult. And I suppose, getting onto the topic of autism, I suppose, like, for somebody with autism, if they were in a situation like that, like, how difficult must that be? Like, to feel not understood, you know what I mean? And then being able to form those relationships that you need to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, what's really, really interesting about it is the fact that people who have autism can be really blunt to the point, black and white thinking, it is what it is. And they can say something quite directly and mean it with the most compassion in the world. But actually, you know, somebody could take it quite offensively. You know, we're talking about taking offence. Whereas if somebody spoke to them like that, I think they wouldn't take it as well.
No.
Because usually when people are direct, it depends on the situation, but say, you know, it depends on the tone as well. I think if somebody on the spectrum was told straight, not happy with this, didn't like the way you dealt with that, blah, 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 and was really direct, I think they'd feel really bad. I think they would feel that something was wrong. But it's like, if it's happening to them, then they feel it. Whereas if it's happening to somebody else, it's not the same. So for example, like, you know, you could have somebody who's just had a really distinctive smelling breakfast in the office, and the person on the spectrum is walking over into the kitchen to make a cuppa, and they smell this waft, and they're like, wow, you stink. Oh my word, what have you eaten? That stinks. You know what I mean? And they're probably saying it because it's true. It's what's happening. And the person will be like, wow, get some manners. You mean, like, for you to tell me I stink. Do you know what I mean?
This has happened to me. This has happened to me before. I used to take, when I was trying to be healthy, I took tuna into work before, and the whole staff team were like, Hannah, that absolutely stinks. Can I, like, I was like, sauce, not sauce, really, but, you know.
Oh, but no, I can picture it. I can picture it.
Yeah.
And like, we were talking earlier about, I watched, I don't always watch it, but I do like watching a little bit of Love is Blind. And the reason being, there's been 1 or 2 seasons I've watched where there have been genuine couples that have come out of it. And I think the key one I watched was one African-American lady and one white guy. And they obviously had never seen each other, and they talked in the pods, and they developed a really, really strong connection. So they knew that they obviously weren't going to come from the same background and the same culture and everything, but they felt really strongly about each other. He proposed, got together, and all through like the process when it showed them living together and getting used to each other, it was just like, you could see obviously the things that they had to kind of consider, what other people would think, really. Well, they got married, and they've had kids together, and they're still together. And one thing they said was, if they had seen each other from across a bar, they would never go anywhere near each other. They wouldn't have gone into each other's orbit. They wouldn't have even considered that they could have had a relationship. But the Love is Blind created that opportunity. So that's why I do like watching this, because I think there is actually genuine positive things that come out of it. But there was this one guy, and it didn't say he was autistic, but some of his tendencies made me think, I think he might be on the spectrum. And he was dating these 2 girls together. Well, they were all dating numerous people. It's how it works. But they
multi-dating.
It sounds weird, but they kind of do it over so many weeks. And if they feel a genuine connection, then they continue those dates. So he continued dating 2 girls at the same time through the pods, and one of them, it showed like their date, and he came across really genuine. He was saying how he would love to ask the father's hand to show respect, and she said, oh, my father passed away, and he was like really comforting, etc. And he was saying things like, even if you didn't want to continue with the experiment, if you wanted to leave, I would drop everything. I would come and get you. I would, he said, I would run around the building, grab your blankie, grab you, and we would go, we would leave.
Feels like a knight in shining armour, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he literally said, I feel like I'm here for you. You are the reason I'm here. It was really sweet, really romantic. And she goes back to the quarters of the women, they're all there having a glass and of wine and a chat. And there's this other girl there who'd had a date with the same guy. And the other girl was saying, I've had such a great date today. And this girl goes, oh, right, who's that with then? So she mentions this guy. And she said, oh, well, what happened? So this girl starts talking about how he said, you're the reason I'm here. I feel like you're my one and only. He was literally, but it was word for word, verbatim, what he had said to this other girl, even down to, I would drop everything and leave with you, and we could go right now. Yeah. But what it made me think of was a social strategy. So like obviously we talked about when Elena got diagnosed, and she used that strategy of talking about the carpet. She saw somebody else and she talked about the carpet. And I just think to myself, is it that he's got such a struggle with social, developing those relationships, that he thought, you know what, this is how I guarantee he probably genuinely felt that way about both women. And he just used what he felt worked. So he used it on the first girl. Oh, that worked really well. She came out of this conversation really happy.
Yeah.
And then used it on the second girl because it worked so well the first time.
Yeah. I don't know what love is.
Oh, dear Lord. It's just so you do feel for them then, because it's like if they struggle to know what do I say next and how do I show my affection, if they don't if that's not a natural skill, then clearly it's gonna happen. He's gonna
definitely. And it's like quite, and like when you think about, you know, people with autism and like, you know, some people, let's be honest, a lot of people, when they come across somebody with any sort of learning disability or autism or anything like that, a lot of people feel uncomfortable because they don't know how to communicate back. Would you say that? Yeah,
I think assumptions are drawn, and I think we can say safely we all make judgments on first meetings, and it's just inbuilt. It's not something we can control. Mm-hmm. You meet somebody, and from that first encounter, like they say, first impressions matter. That's what makes the difference. And I suppose unless you've got that understanding and training and background in autism, you're not going to know, or you're not going to be able to pick up quickly, okay, this is how I need to this is how I need to rearrange my demeanor, or how I'm this is how I'm presenting myself to everyone. You clock the person, you think, okay, I might need to quieten my voice, I might need to speak a little bit slower in case they struggle with processing information, I might need to let them talk more because of their interest, to show that I want to make that effort, you know. So I think if you don't have that background, it can be very, very difficult, especially if you've got the judgment that some people have, that people have a look, if they're autistic, they have a certain look. Mm-hmm. So like people have said to me, Elena doesn't look autistic. So if they're expecting a specific look and a specific type of behaviour straight away and they don't see it, then again, they're not going to know to adjust their communication.
And I suppose then it's difficult for the actual person with autism. Like, so for an example, we took the children to a soft play on Saturday, had an absolutely incredible time. Like, we were like the only parents who were like in there actually joining in the fun. It was amazing. Well, anyway, so we were out and about, like we was in the ball pit, and this little boy, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, my thingy went off. So I was in the ball pit, and this little boy came up to me. Straight away I clocked. I was like, this little boy's autistic. In fact, it reminded me very much of Elena, actually. I was like, oh, this is mad. And he came up to me and he was like, I think I know what's going on. And I was like, oh, you? And he was like, yeah, come with me, like this. And I was like, and he was just so cute. And I was just like, okay, like I kind of had to like switch hats from being mum to somebody else for that moment, you know what I mean? Absolutely. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, I think I know what's going on. And he was like dragging me around the soft.
Oh, bless
him. And he brought me to like this place, and there was these little boys fighting, it was. And I was like, oh, are they fighting? And he was like, yes, like this, you know. I was like, oh, do you know them? He was like, no. And like, we just, you know, we didn't have much of an exchange, but enough to make him feel, he obviously didn't feel safe in that moment, I think.
Maybe,
he was a little bit like, oh, and obviously just had to find somebody. It had to be me, which was fine. And then he was fine there. Well, then, me and the kids like throwing balls at each other, and one of them hit me in the eye, and I was like, ow! Like this, and this little boy went, are you okay?
Oh, bless him.
And it just made me think, like, how many other adults would have been able to engage, not in a bad sense, but like we are so unknowledgeable, I suppose, it's probably not the word, I don't know, that how many people would have felt confident to be like engage back, you know? And if not, like if I'd have gone, like how would he have then felt, you know? Like it's, you know?
It's not an easy balance to strike. And that, like, what you've said highlights another issue, which is not having that awareness of appropriateness, and like there's not speaking to people you don't know. Like Elena, she's friends with anybody and everybody. She'll talk to anybody. And I'll never forget once, right, when she was a lot younger, we were like going to B&Q and we were looking around, and she literally ran around the corner. We thought we let her have a run, do you know what I mean? But we were right behind her. Well, anyway, there was this woman working in B&Q, and she stood talking to a customer, and Elena like grabbed her and gave her a massive hug. And it's like, everyone was just like,
Not my
I was like, come on now, lovely, la, 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 like trying to get her to come away. And I'm like, oh my word, what are you doing? But like, you know, and like we've gone to a restaurant before and sat outside, and somebody working there was sweeping the leaves, and straight away she was like, it was like one of these, you know, there was like a slide and play area. Instead of playing with the play equipment, she was going up to him and asking him questions about what he was doing and his day, and it's like, Elena, you can't be doing that.
And that raises such a good point as people get older with autism. So in my job, I mean, I work a lot with like housing and people with complex needs and blah, blah, blah. So, and I've worked a lot with teenagers with autism. And obviously they, for whatever reason, they kind of like semi-independent living, they're kind of living on their own, but not kind of, not capable isn't the word, but they need a lot of support.
They need support.
And the problem is they can be at risk of cocooning. I don't know if many people know what that means, but they build relationships and friendships with very much the wrong people. And what cocooning is, for those who don't know, and it's definitely something to look out for, and it's not a nice thought, but we need to be aware of it. But what it basically means is this person, say with autism or any learning disability, is independent living on their own, maybe has a support worker like myself, coming into the property. But what it means is cocooning is that they've built these friendships with, say, drug dealers, runners, whoever, and eventually what happens is they become a hostage in their own home, and their home then becomes like a kind of like a drug runners basically, and it's really sad. And these people don't understand what's going on. Their home has become kind of like a drug plant, really, you know. And
it's that lack of social imagination, not being able to understand others' perspectives and the possibility of anything but this is black and white, this is the world I've created, this is the situation I'm in. But they can't see other external factors and how those can have that domino effect.
100%. Definitely. And so many times you like try and talk about healthy relationships, and you're like, I don't know, Bob, like, you know, this isn't healthy, this is not good, they're taking advantage of you. I would honestly recommend to anybody who's interested.
Oh, sorry, Hang, your sound has just gone.
Sorry, I'm back. I would highly recommend anybody with young people or with autism or any learning disability to have a look at county lines and cocooning training.
Absolutely.
It's well worth a look at, because we need to be aware of it. If you don't know what county lines is, it's basically the drug running from county to county, from here to England, England to Scotland, Scotland to Wales. Thing.
And they target the vulnerable. They target vulnerable young people. And you know, especially those that don't have that ability to process different situations, and who are maybe mentally a bit younger, then they are very vulnerable to these difficult situations. And I think that's why it is important to have these conversations and to teach young people about healthy relationships.
Definitely. And it's not, I know this is getting a bit deep now, but it's not just like the drug dealing and the drug running, but it's like the exploitation side of it. Like young girls, you know, we all want to be loved. We enter into relationships, you know, and then get exploited down the country. Like, it's a real thing. These things do happen, you know. And I think it's so important that we just have these conversations with our kids, learning disabilities or not really. Like Des is 11 this year. We already have these types of conversations because she needs to be aware, she needs to safeguard herself. But I think when you've got a youngster or who's got learning difficulties or lacks understanding, it's even more vital, because I think, you know, we've had service users become massive drug dealers, not really understanding what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, they don't understand that it's wrong. They're involved in county lines, and they're like, oh, I'm going up to such and such a place for a trip. Hang on a minute, like, that's not what you think it is.
And I think that circles back to us talking about conditional friendship, and if these people who have manipulated the situation and who have groomed these people with disabilities to be involved in illegal activity, they'll understand that they can condition and say, oh, well, you're not my friend if you don't help me out, you're supposed to be my mate, blah, 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 blah. Do you mean make some favours for each other?
Yeah,
course,
definitely.
If you've got literal thinking, well, yeah, actually friends are supposed to help each other. So therefore, he's asked me a favour, I should help him. It can literally be brought down to that very 100%. Simple thought, you know.
Yeah, and definitely, and this is what happens, and these are kind of some of the signs of cocooning and exploitation, like, you know, and initially when these friendships start, they kind of like, you know, say person A, the person we're concerned about, starts having very nice clothes, and so-and-so buys me gifts, and they buy me this, and, you know, and it's like all of a sudden they've established this friendship, you know, and all of a sudden, oh, they got lots of money, and they got this, and they've got that, and you start thinking, hang on, this has only started happening since you've been hanging around with person B, you know?
And then what? Being aware and mindful of changes in behaviour, isn't it, as well?
Definitely. So I really think if anybody's ever concerned about anything like that, definitely try to go get some training on it. There's loads of training available out there. It's definitely worth having a look at, 100%.
Absolutely. And I think a lot can be said for gut instinct for those of us who maybe, I mean, it's hard to say if people on the spectrum have a gut instinct, but like, I'd say the best friendships for me come out of that initial meet. You get that initial feeling about somebody, and I know I don't like to say the word click. But I think that it depends on how you look at it. Like, you've got those women who click together and like they're the click, you know, they don't let anyone else in their click and whatever. But it's not like that. It's just like you get to know somebody and you're just like, oh, I'm vibing. Like, I really like this person. This person's great. And like this particular friend of mine, she said within seconds of talking with you, I knew I liked you. And I was like, same here. Like within seconds of talking with each other, straight away I just knew you were great and I thought you were fab.
Yes.
So we will take the time to make time for each other. So we have to schedule when we see each other. It's very sad. Like, so we're going to be seeing each other soon. I'm so excited. And it's like we see each other and we're like, okay, when can we schedule in another session, like where we actually speak to each other and we spend time together? Like, we will WhatsApp and message, but like you say, life is hectic and life is crazy. So just being able to like take a day out for each other every few months is fabulous.
Yeah, definitely.
But I do think gut instinct does help.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in all aspects, like the whole dating world, like I know we had a brief conversation about it earlier, that is like difficult in general. Like, it's a minefield, right? And I think knowing how to safeguard yourself and look after yourself, like I said to you, FaceTime is like a must, because you need to know that person is that person, you know. Thanks for me and but with somebody on the spectrum, like I know there's that program Love on the Spectrum, isn't there? You know, like even with somebody on the spectrum, like, you know, if they didn't have that support around them, like imagine entering that world. Like, it's a minefield anyway. Like, I cannot imagine entering that minefield of dating anyway, but then having
that
on top. That must be an absolute nightmare.
Oh, I mean, one episode from that though that I did love from Love on the Spectrum was this girl, and she was high functioning and my goodness, intelligent. Like, she had her own company, her own animation design company.
Wow.
Like, she owned it. Do you mean she had a good bit of money? She was an entrepreneur, and she had awards like up on her wall and everything like that.
Wow, that's amazing.
She was looking for love, and she went on this date with this guy who was in like animation school, like he was in design school, but he wasn't working as such yet. And they got on so well on the first date, and they were just giggling and talking. All of a sudden she went, I love you, like this. And oh, do you know, and
she said it
like this. First date, and she's like, I love you so much, like this. It was like that. And I was like, oh my word, she did not just say that. And you could tell he had a little bit of shock on his face, like that. And she went, I need a minute. And she left the table for a little walk to like collect it.
Oh, your sound's gone.
And that.
Oh. That is bad.
But she came back to the table and he was like, oh, you're so beautiful, and you know. But literally he was like, I love you too, and may I kiss you and all this, and they had a little kiss. It was the sweetest date ever, right?
So cute.
So cute. And then it showed like their relationship developing. And
did it develop good? Was it like a good end?
Well, at one point, I think like the midpoint, like, you know, after a couple of dates, she kind of said to her mum that she wasn't sure if he was the one for her, because in her mind, her perfect partner had to have a job in animation, had to have goals and aspirations, had to be like top of their field. Like, in her mind, they had to already have their career, already have money coming in, already have X, Y, and Z. She had like a tick list, and because he didn't quite fit that like standard tick list, she was questioning whether they should be together. So she did break it off initially, and then at the end of the program it shows that they got back together. So I was really pleased about that. So I'm hoping that the kind of the heart and the gut feeling will take over the logic, because she was just like, he has to have this and he has to have that, like this.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Because I suppose with a lot of people with autism, they kind of, this is what they have a list, they like certain things done a certain way.
Yeah.
Whereas for us, like, we can do a little bit of give and take. I suppose that's what love is. You give and you take. But I suppose for her, it's like, no, that's what I want and that's what I'll have. It's like most people when dating, I want somebody tall, dark and handsome, but sometimes the tall, dark and handsome ones are really horrible.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No, sometimes they're not, but sometimes they are, but I think that's a really difficult one, isn't it? Like having that understanding of what love is.
Yeah.
And that's another kind of like massive topic. Like massive, huge.
I mean, I think we can model behaviour for our children. Do you know what I mean? I think if they have positive influences and they see us modelling loving behaviour, but by, sometimes you do have to sacrifice things, and
100%.
Sometimes, you have to actually put somebody else before yourself. I think that goes a long way. But I do think you can't stop the outside influences. And social media is like a whole other world of kind of potholes and loopholes and things that you can't really control. Even as a parent, you can teach, and in school I know they teach about internet safety and being mindful and aware of these things. But I just think they're getting cleverer and cleverer, these people.
Do you know what? It's become so dangerous. And like I mentioned like earlier, like love is being made so cheap. And like all you'll hear through society now is trust your heart, go with your heart. Well, not always. Like, like sometimes our heart will deceive us. Like, like obviously that's a lovely little story about, she said, I love you. But actually, like when we think about I love yous, like a massive red flag in dating is somebody saying I love you on the first date. That's like a huge flag, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why I was like,
that like, especially, like in like domestic violence circumstances, that's a mega red flag for domestic violence.
Yeah.
And I think we've just, as a society, we, like social media, like everything, love is made cheap. It's like, who can we sleep with first? Who can we do this with first? Have you done that yet? Have you done that? Yeah, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Like, let's get back to, because, unfortunately, we're teaching our youngsters and our children to like, well, to just give ourselves away. Well, hang on, how about loving ourselves first?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
how can you love others if you don't love yourself, isn't it?
Because I just think, you can't love anybody else if you don't love yourself. Like, how do you expect somebody to love you if you don't love who you are?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's lovely when somebody loves you and you learn things about yourself. That's amazing. But actually, like what I love about meeting somebody on FaceTime and talking to them through FaceTime and before you meet, you fall in love with that person, who they actually are.
And see, that's meant to be the idea behind Love is Blind, because they have no phones, they have no distractions, they're just in the pods, and there's a wall between them, and they just pour their hearts out. They talk about their values, they talk about their dreams, they talk about challenges, They talk about experiences in life that have been really hard and hurtful for them. So they're actually getting to know the other person for who they are before they see each other. So I do think there is value in it. You do see really good relationships come out of it. But like, I think going back to like the social media side of it, yes, I agree with you. We've just become too complacent, because love shouldn't be complacent. But also for people on the spectrum trying to make friendships, if they're lonely and they don't know anyone,
100%.
and Facebook is one of those things where you can add friends. The majority of us will add our co-workers, we'll add people we've met through life. But somebody on the spectrum who maybe is a bit isolated, who doesn't really know people, they might just add anyone because they think it means I've got friends. Because it says I've got friends, they're my friends now. I've added them. You know what I mean?
Yes, definitely. And again, this loops back to making those dangerous relationships, because Snapchat is a massive one. Snapchat is so dangerous because it's untraceable. Let me warn you all now, the illegal stuff, the absolutely disgusting stuff that goes on through Snapchat is unbelievable. I will never let my children have it.
No way.
The amount of exploitation that goes on through Snapchat is absolutely unbelievable. And again, like you said, with Snapchat, you can random add. So for people who are looking for those friendships, looking for that love that we, cheap love really is what we're looking for. And especially for people who don't understand, people on the spectrum, we're not understanding, they're random adding people, getting involved in relationships that are really not good. And it just creates this revolving door system. And unfortunately, like, these social media apps haven't caught on to it, or they have, and they're just not doing nothing about it.
They don't monitor things well enough. They don't manage it well enough. Like, I've shared this already, but I was hacked on Facebook.
Yes.
And it's not like I'm a numpty. Do you know what I mean? It was, the way it was done was so clever. Like, a comment was put that literally it looked genuine. It looked like Facebook. And when, like, Facebook asks you standardized questions about appealing the decision and blah, 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 all of it, even though down to the wording, was very much Facebook kind of, that, like, when we have a conversation and you can tell who somebody is by the way it's worded, even down to the wording, it was very much Facebook-esque. Do you know what I mean? And by, like, filling out that thing, which I thought was Facebook trying to get me to appeal something, they got in. And they got in because I was told, like, you're going to lose your account. And it did genuinely look like
that's
Facebook.
What it was.
What?
So that's what I didn't know this.
Yeah. And then what happened was, I tried to obviously appeal. Then all of a sudden, I was getting a message from Facebook saying your account's going to be suspended because of an Instagram account that was linked to your. So anyway, this Instagram account, they did something wrong, obviously. And because they linked their Instagram to mine, that's linked to my Facebook, which meant my Facebook got suspended. And then Facebook is asking me to sign in as the hacker and appeal the decision. How can I appeal the decision? I can't.
Sorry.
I can't.
That's mad.
And it's happened to so many people. Like, I saw a news feed on YouTube where, like, there's been a petition going around of people losing their accounts because of this kind of thing. And they can't get a hold of Facebook because the help centre, which is meant to be very helpful, is in Facebook. But as soon as you try to log in, it comes up, account suspended. Go onto this hackers thing and sign in to appeal, and I'm like, that's not me, so I can't sign in, I can't appeal because it's not me, I didn't do it, and I just think it doesn't bother me a huge amount. But when you think about friendships that you make over the years and connections, and people who maybe have moved to other countries, like my friends, they've moved recently, well, not recently, they're in the UK now, but a couple of years ago they moved to Japan and they moved to China, all for work, and they had amazing adventures. And that is how I kept in touch with them, was through Facebook. I mean, now they're in the UK, it's not a big deal. But actually, like family members who are out in Australia or Ireland or whatever, I've lost the ability to have those connections through Facebook. I've got to do it through other means now. But I just think to myself, surely Facebook should be thinking, hang on, that's pinged from somewhere completely different from where this person usually posts. Maybe it's not them. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what? Like, I very rarely use social media anymore. Very rarely. I have my account because I've got lots of photos of the children, and like obviously we've got a lot of family abroad and wherever. Yeah. So I like post little updates of life, like I am alive. So I very rarely use it, and I have a very big issue with social media. I think that there's a lot more going on in the background than what they like society to know. I think. Like this hacking thing, for instance, Facebook has got a very big issue with hacking. They don't seem to be dealing with it.
Well, no. Like, when you're recommended to use a help centre that you cannot access because you've been blocked out. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful that the hacker is blocked out as well. Nobody can get in. That's great news for me. They can't post and pretend to be me. They can't say mean things and all this stuff. Yeah. But actually, to say I can appeal as a hacker, like to say I could appeal on a linked Instagram account that wasn't originally linked is silly. Like, and that's what makes me think, and this is a warning for any of you out there that have considered linking their Instagram to Facebook, just don't do it. Because they say, oh, it's all much easier now. You link your Instagram to your Facebook when you post once. But actually, if you do that, a hacker can link their Instagram to yours, post something awful, and then you're out of your Facebook. You can't get back in.
Yeah, so exactly.
Do not link it.
Definitely.
But no, like, I just think you should be able to appeal via email. Like, Facebook, email me and say, your account was suspended. To appeal this decision, click here, whatever. But to say I have to do it through a hacker's account is so stupid.
Absolutely crazy.
So who knows when I will get my account back, if ever.
Just keep following the TikTok.
Yes, I mean, it's just obviously I was promoting the app on the Facebook as well, which is a bit frustrating. So I'm just going to have to find other ways and means to keep everyone updated with where things are. But it just goes to show anything can happen on social media. I actually know somebody on social media at the moment who is on the spectrum, who's unfortunately using it, I wouldn't say as a keyboard warrior, but they're not putting themselves in the best light because they are struggling, I think, with their mental health at the moment. But Facebook's not intervening. They're not doing anything. And the posts keep coming, and I just think to myself, this should be, if anyone's account should be suspended right now, it should be. Because they're not actually asking for help in the right way. Yeah. And I think that's the I've forgotten the word. Danger. Yeah. Is doing things like that, and also the keyboard warriors, you know, they're bullies really in disguise.
And this is the thing again with somebody on the spectrum. If some like a keyboard warrior was to at them, they're not going to understand. They're just a stupid person behind a keyboard who's not really. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to understand that. To be fair, a lot of people get affected by keyboard warriors, and rightly so. They say horrible things. But for somebody on this, like, you know, I could probably talk you around and be like, oh, come on, RH, they just... But for somebody on the spectrum, it would take a lot of talking around, you know?
That's because it's personal to them. Whereas if they, for example, were upset at somebody and they weren't one of these, I'll tell you as it is, kind of to your face, they might think, oh, I'll just put it on a message. Do you know what I mean? And they just get rip and think, I'm just being honest. I'm just telling them what I think. And actually, they're tearing them up, like, you know. But I think, there's so much. It's such a shame, because something that could be used for good, social media, if you think you could promote a business on there through videos, through photos, through posts and news, actually it's one of those double-edged swords, isn't it? You know, you're either going to be a Jedi and using the tool for good, or you're going to be a Sith and using it for dark means. Do you know what I mean? And I just think, like, you know, social media is here to stay, isn't it? It's not going anywhere. So it's just trying to be mindful of using the Force. Sorry, I'm a Star Wars fan. You should have a lightsaber right now.
Hang on.
Oh, don't tell me you have a lightsaber.
Yeah. Ready?
No, that's not a lightsaber. Is that a straw? That's a straw. If you behave, right, then I will show you. I'll try to show you my drone. My drone.
Oh.
Gordon bought me a drone.
Oh, did he know?
No, he did. No, you know, one of those camera drone thingies that flies. Yeah.
But why? What are you going to use it for?
What?
What are you going to use it for?
Oh my gosh, so much. So basically, right, I've been having a bit of a rant in work, okay? So we have these meetings, and you know, me and my idea wheel and things like this. So we do like sea dips for well-being, okay? And
Sorry, you do what?
Sea dips, you know, dip in the sea.
Okay.
Like cold water dip, whatever.
Oh, no, thanks.
Now, I can't do it. Because of my asthma, I refuse to do it. I don't get sick.
I love where that turned from. I can't. I refuse to.
Okay, I cannot, and I will not, and I shall not do that. Okay. Hashtag never happening. So I'm usually the bag lady holding the bags, or looking after the bags.
That's me at the theme park though.
But if I want to take photos of people in the water, in the sea, I'm at a disadvantage because I'm really far away. Whereas if I have a drone, it can fly overhead and take fantastic snaps of people in the water. I was like, that would be amazing.
You could end up with some very unfortunate snaps.
The possibilities are endless, my friend, right? So that was my plan, okay? Okay. Hang on, high five. Quick.
Who's high fiving?
I'm high fiving Elena subtly. There you go. Okay. Right. Good night, my darling. That's what I was like. Secret high five. Like that. Right, quick kiss. One. Love you. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so dronage, yes. The possibilities are endless. Do you know what I mean? Your Sam just went, by the way. Hashtag. No, seriously though. So Gordon's bought me a drone. So
Seriously?
and it's got like a camera on it. So I'm like, what?
You're going to take a photo, so I thought it would have a camera on it.
Say again, something about camera and photos.
So you said it's got a camera on it, and I'm like, well, I would have thought so because you want to close with it.
No, because they have like a thing that you can attach something on it, but it's got an inbuilt camera on it.
I mean, I'm not really up with this tech stuff, really.
See, I'm a techie tex. Well, I don't know if I'm a techie tech, but I'm a bit techie. So I look forward to that. So if you behave today, I'm going to show you the drone next time.
Oh, okay. But I won't laugh at random Gandalfs. Oh, that was so funny.
No.
I thought about that for a very long time.
I'm going to have to teach you some new Marketon signs at some point.
Oh, let's quickly do another one.
Oh, what can we do? I can teach you friend. Oh, you probably know friend. Friend's pretty easy.
I thought you was going to say I can teach you threats.
Friend. You know, friends. You know, Mr. Tumble. Yeah, like friend. Yeah.
I feel a bit weird. I feel like a chicken.
You're not a chicken. I can teach you brother.
Brother.
Yeah. And then sister. No. So like this, like a hook. And then sister.
Oh, what did I do?
I have no idea what you did, but it wasn't that. It just looked wrong.
Sorry.
Sister, brother. Obviously, mother, we did the other day. Mother.
I've got a problem with this thing.
Yeah. That, and then tap twice. Mother, okay? And then father is that. Yeah, so make sure your hands are like this.
Oh, sorry. It's very specific. I do
very
apologize.
specific, yeah. You know? So what I tend to do, obviously you're supposed to speak with it. So I'm like, father, like that.
Father.
Yeah. Like, Luke, I am your father.
Luke, I am your father.
Yeah, exactly like that. We're going very Star Wars reference tonight. I don't know what it is, but Force is strong. It's very strong.
I don't know if you heard that. That might have been just like...
And relationships, speaking about the Force and those relationships, we all have a nemesis. Do you know what I mean? No, but you're going to have relationships that you don't like as well. Like people you
I got those.
You've got those. Right.
I have a little black book. What are you going to do?
I thought, no, don't be a keyboard warrior, okay? You know, talk about honesty and everything, right? You can tell us.
No, it's called a blocked list.
Yes, the blocked number that comes up on your phone.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm quite funny about giving my number out. I'm like, not sure about that. You know, like.
Fair enough.
No. Anyway.
It's so funny, right? So, somebody was asking about like shakes that I was doing for weight loss at one point.
Shakes, right? Okay.
Yeah. And this was before I got hacked, obviously, ages ago. And I said, well, you know, if you follow me on Facebook, you'll be able to, like, you know, find out more and whatever. So, you know, I'm busy. And they were like, I don't have Facebook. I was like, oh, right, okay, like this. And then I found out from another colleague that they were friends with them on Facebook. So, like, I was just talking in general, and they went, oh, yeah, I was watching so-and-so's video on Facebook. And I was like, oh, I thought they didn't have Facebook. And they're like, oh, yeah, I've been friends with them for the last few years. I was like, oh. Yeah, I kid you not. I was like, fine, you don't want to be my friend, that's fine. I'm not bothered.
You're lost, my friend.
You're lost. I was like,
do you know what I would have done? This is just me all over. I would have gone on and added them as a friend.
Hey,
you can remember to
I don't need to add them as a friend.
It's just been so funny because they'd have been like, "Bam! You can remember. You can't hide, my friend. I will always be in life."
Well, we would be frenemies if I added them. I'm telling you now. You know, like Simon Cowell and Cheryl Cole, and they were called frenemies. No, not frenemies.
It reminded me of Finding Nemo. Where do we live? Anemone.
Oh, anemone. Frenemies.
I feel like this would be an appropriate time. I'll be there for you
when the rain starts to fall.
I'll be there for you.
Like I've been there before.
I'll be there for you.
'Cause you're there for me too.
So no one told you love.
I know we could be singing for ages.
No.
So
Did you know?
What?
Right, did you know? You know in the theme song when it goes, love life's a joke you broke. Your love life's DOA. You know what that means?
Yeah, dead on arrival.
Oh.
How did you not know that?
Not until like really recently. And I was like,
when did you learn this, Beck? Like,
I'm not telling you because I'm quite ashamed of it.
Like, dead on arrival.
Yeah, I didn't realise because I was like, what does that mean? And this was like dead on arrival. I was like,
oh, Beck, you're brilliant. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. So we've learned today that it's okay to have a frenemy. That we all have frenemies. Yeah. We've learned that it's important to be careful about social media and like who we have those relationships with. And that we can model behaviour. And I suppose all we can really do to support people who are on the spectrum struggling to make those relationships and understand friendships is to educate ourselves, obviously, but also support them in their learning.
Definitely,
if
I
they're
agree.
Learning these things, to just be patient because it's, you know, their brains are different, which means that it's going to take time for them to learn the things that might be a lot easier for people who are neurotypical.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's, on a whole, I think it's being kind to ourselves, loving ourselves, like learning who we are, loving ourselves and loving everybody else for who they are as well.
Learning to say no.
Learning to say no, Missy Moo.
No, I'm not doing that. No, thank you. No, honey. No, seriously, it is like,
I don't know.
and it's learning to take a breath. Somebody asks you, oh, would you do this? And this is where I'm learning about my brain a bit, because I have a lack of dopamine, which means I'm always searching for that extra bit of happiness. Not because I'm not happy, but it doesn't give me the same euphoria, apparently. Right, so, like, other people who experience something that makes them happy, that happiness can last quite a while. Whereas for me, it can last for like a good bit, and I'll get a good burst, and then all of a sudden go, and then I'm like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Do you think I got too much?
What?
Do you think I got too much?
Possibly. So then, if I say yes to something and I'm helping somebody, I'm giving that dopamine a bit of a boost. Do you mean? So I've got to be careful to like stop and take a breath and go and think. Will this make my life worse? But will this?
Oh yeah.
Will this benefit me in the end, or will it drain me in the end?
Yes.
Will it actually make things more difficult for me? It might initially make me happy, and it might initially make the other person happy. But what are the consequences? There's always consequences to our actions and how we react to things as well.
100%. And really, you've got to like take a step back and think: Can my calendar take it? For those of us who use Teams and for work and calendars, have I got room in my calendar for it? Have I got room in my brain for it? And have I got me time? Have I fitted time for myself? You know, like, I think so for too much, we just like, yes. I mean, fortunately for me, I've always been very good at being like, oh no, I can't solve. Like, you know, but for a lot of people that is an issue, you know.
And then if you think of somebody on the spectrum who has a set routine, this is what I do in my day, this is how I get to work, this is how I get home, this is my life, welcome to the world of me, you know. Then we have to be a bit more understanding and patient, because the likelihood of them saying yes is probably going to be slim.
Yeah.
It takes them out of their routine and out of what makes life good for them and easier for them. Then actually, if somebody says, oh, by the way, you know how you're on your way home, I really need to go to the shop, I'm having issues with my car, could you like take me to that shop and then go home? The likelihood of them saying yes is very slim. Because actually, what if it's going to be going through their brain? They can be like, okay, what if we get to the shop and I run out of petrol? Or what if we get to the shop and I get a puncture in my tyre? What if we get to the shop? What if we get to the shop and I can't get home? So the easy answer, and what would seem like the, oh, you don't care answer, but actually it's the, I need to stick to how things are for me. Because if something goes wrong, like that is it. You know what I mean? Then is to say, sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
You know? So definitely. I think we do need to be mindful of that, but also we need to be able to support the learning as well. So like one example that was given to me was, if somebody regularly gets on the bus to work and the bus is late, most people go, okay, maybe I could ring a friend and get a lift, or maybe I could get a taxi, or maybe I could find some alternative means to get there. But for somebody on the spectrum, it's like, the bus is late. I need the bus. Yeah. And it could be there's a massive traffic jam, and then all of a sudden the bus is here, but now I'm an hour late. I'm going to get on the bus, and then something else happens and something else. And they just can't see any other solution except for the bus. So I do think it is important we support learning, that actually there are other options. As much as change is difficult, as much as choosing something different is hard, the more you try new things, the more you empower yourself.
Yes.
So it's getting that balance.
Yeah, and I think, like, we talked a lot about like cocooning and building those bad relationships, and I think what I would say, if you know somebody and you're really concerned about their friendships and the kind of involvement they're having, and you're really concerned, don't be afraid to contact 101 or social services. Like, social services are not bad people. They're not around to steal your children away. Like, I can promise you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they're to protect and to safeguard.
Yeah, 100%. And I've worked so much with social services, like, you know, from experience, like, they are good people, you know, and I know some people have had a bad experience, and I do apologize for that. Like, it's not my problem, you know, not my problem, like that. But, you know, like, it's not my situation. But what I would say, if you are seriously and genuinely concerned, you think, oh, I'm really concerned about this person, go on your local council's website, scroll down to social services, find the number, and just give them a ring. Say whatever the situation is, and just be like, I think they need a bit of support, and they can give the support.
And just going off of that as well, just because it's relevant, like, I watched a TikTok video recently about a news report, and a woman rang the police because she heard really concerning sounds from her neighbour's house, and she said, it sounds like the boy's gone in the bath and they're drowning him. Like, it sounds like he's been drowned. I can hear thrashing, I can hear screams. So anyway, they did send the police, and unfortunately it was too late, and the neighbours had drowned their own son. So just to come off of that, if you have any concerns about anybody, ring, always voice your concerns, because you just don't know what's happening. And I think it's just important that, you know, no matter what relationship as well you have with the person involved, it's always important to speak up if you're worried about what's going on.
Yeah, and I would echo that. Domestic violence wise, if you can owe anybody can do something that's called a well-being check. So that is where you know somebody and you think they're either at risk of harming themselves or somebody else. Okay, the way to do that, you just phone 101 and you just explain this. The police are really good, okay? And just explain, I've never done it before, but I'm really concerned. You know, say, is it possible to send somebody around to do a wellbeing check? You can do it anonymously. So if it's on your neighbour and you think there's domestic violence going on, or, you know, there's self-harm or whatever, even if it's a family member and you think they're going to do something to themselves, you can ring 101 and they will help you. Obviously, in dire emergencies, please ring 999.
Yeah,
like,
I think that should go without saying, hopefully. Right, so I think we can wrap up there.
I know.
Thank you everybody for listening.
I feel like we were really serious tonight.
We were very serious, but it is a serious topic as well. We did have some funny moments, but it's one of those that you do need to take seriously. And also, you know, I'm very excited to share that in a few weeks we're going to be having some guest speakers join us. Soon all shall be revealed. We're going to have a guest speaker that's going to talk to us about well-being, especially being parents of children that have a disability. She herself has a son with a disability, so she can give us from the side of being a well-being coach and a parent as well, so she can give us both angles, which is great. And we also have a sensory therapist that's coming in and talking about the importance of understanding the senses. So I'm just really pleased that these fabulous ladies have agreed to join us on different podcasts to share their experience.
I feel like I should behave.
You will need to behave just a bit on these ones, just a tad.
Okay.
And obviously, fabulous news, my crowdfunding page is live. So I will be putting the link with the YouTube video for people to click on and visit. And I think that's all from me and all from you.
You hope so. You hope that's all from me.
Say goodbye.
So long, farewell, I'll be to say goodnight. Adieu, so you and your good night.
Oh, I always loved the bit with the little girl at the end. The sun has gone to bed, and so must I.
That was really cute.
Oh, diddums.
Diddums. Well, my children are currently sat watching the telly. So Carriad was put to bed and she's been really naughty. So I don't know if you noticed at one stage I had to throw my pencil case at Destiny.
I think you were doing something weird with your arm. That wasn't what it was.
I was like trying to be discreet and like put my fingers at her and she couldn't hear me. So she's over there watching the telly. So effectively she's been good as gold. And I could hear footsteps. Like I had to throw my pencil case. So they are now kitchen and watching the telly. Oh, I've awoken them.
Right. Lovely.
Anyway.
Good night. Goodbye.
Right. Bye.